Hello viewers, welcome back to another episode. Today I want to have a deeper insight in the problem with the VAX 4300, and this here is an H7874 power supply for the BA440 enclosure, so also for the VAX 4300. This one is a spare one I've got. It's not the original one from the VAX 4300, and it wasn't in use for years. I think last time it was used is 20 years ago. And you've seen the issue of the VAX 4300 in a previous episode, and I think it's caused by the PSU. I talked with a friend of mine and also did some research on documentation about the PSU, and it seems to be a common problem with the PSU. And I've also saw that the DEC OK indicator didn't turn on when the machine cuts off after several seconds. So this is a switched mode power supply, and I will open the power supply now and do a visual check, especially on the capacitors, and I will clean it as well. But that could be dangerous because the capacitors can be loaded. I don't think so that the capacitors here are loaded because the last use is too long ago. But to be sure, I will also measure the voltage of the capacitors and unload them if it's necessary. So I didn't find any capacitors or parts which seems to be broken from a visual point of view. There is a bit corrosion here. Maybe you can see it. There's a bit corrosion, but on some screws, but only some screws are corroded. So here is no corrosion. I will clean that. Also, this screw is okay. This one is corroded. On top this screw as well. This screw is okay. And also the other board. It's a bit dirty, but everything seems to be okay. Also this big capacitors here. And this one, I didn't have measured them, but from a visual point of view, everything seems to be okay. So after cleaning and removing the corrosion, I will put the PSU back together and put it in the VAX 4300, and we'll see if this PSU will work. Now we are back at the machine at the VAX 4300, and here is the new power supply, and I will change the power supply with the old power supply. I've cleaned the power supply inside and removed the corrosion. For an emergency situation, here is a fire extinguisher before we burn the whole place down. So let's switch the PSU. After the spare PSU did work, I removed the original PSU and opened it, and first I didn't see any issues as well. But the 3 screws were also corroded, like maybe you can see it here, like in the spare PSU. But I didn't see the reason, and then I've looked around a bit in the internet, and I found a webpage which I link down below in the description with a guy who has the same issues, and it was caused by the capacitors on the 12 volt board. This is a board for the 12 volt rail, and there are also were the corroded screws, but you can't see it from above. But I hope I can get it on camera. Under the capacitors, you can see that they are leaked, and the leaked capacitors also caused the corrosion of the screws. So I will order new capacitors. I will replace these 3 capacitors. Only these 2 capacitors leaked, but I'll replace all 3 of them. And then I will see if the replacement solves the issue.